Namaskar, Ram Ram. I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. And before I begin, I would like to request you to kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon and kindly share all the videos so that students can uh, reach this quality and contentful videos. This is my eighth video in the series of cultural studies, which is a new unit in NET JRF syllabus. And in 2019 June, there came a question on writer Ziauddin Sardar. And this writer is very, very important in cultural studies. Ziauddin Sardar was actually a Pakistani. He belonged to Pakistan, and then he migrated to England. And now, what kind of questions can be asked before I, tell you the details and the contribution of Ziauddin Sardar? Let me give you two important details about Ziauddin Sardar's contribution. There is a magazine called Inquiry. They can ask you this question. Inquiry, a magazine of ideas and policy focusing on Muslim countries, which played a major part in promoting reformist thoughts in Islam. So you should remember the name of this magazine, Inquiry. And second one is that Ziauddin Sardar was among the founding or founders of this magazine, Inquiry, and during its editing he established the Center for Policy and Future Studies at East West University in Chicago. He was also involved with the Third Text. Third Text is also a kind of journal, a prestigious journal of arts and visual culture. So I have imparted this knowledge to you that there is a journal Third Text. Third Text, the title suggests that it must be doing with the third world countries. And second one, the first one was Inquiry. Ziauddin Sardar wrote many programs for the BBC and Channel 4. Channel 4 is a radio channel. Editor of the journal Futures is also how he has been an editor of the journal Futures. His 1994 book Introducing Cultural Studies, he has listed 5 main characteristics of cultural studies. The main aim of this video is to talk about these 5 important topics, the 5 characteristics of cultural studies, which if you understand, you can really crack any question over there, in your exam. The first is, the aim of cultural studies is to examine cultural practices and their relation to power, like the study of subculture. For example, a white laborer's social practices versus a white dominant class practices. I would like to elaborate this point, that cultural studies what is the aim of this cultural studies? It is to examine cultural practices and their relation to power. The concept of power is propounded by a French philosopher Foucault, and if we analyze this particular point, so we understand that what are the contribution or contributory factors, or what are the things which impart power to someone in a society. For example, somebody belongs to the same caste in India, and some relative of mine is a laborer. And so from where the power comes, in society people will look down high upon someone who is earning well, and somebody who is not earning well. So that what is the relationship of power, and from where this power is creating culture. So this cultural studies main aim is to understand the kind of practices involved in that. Second one is, the main objective of cultural studies includes understanding culture in all its complex forms. In my earlier video, I have already explained that culture is a very cumbersome, complex phenomenon. We cannot exactly say that this is culture and this is not culture, because over time the definitions of culture have changed. So cultural studies actually, they have given themselves a task to understand the complex forms of culture and analyzing the social and political context in which cultural manifests itself. So I would like to make you understand these two keywords, social and political contexts. in which a culture manifests. Social in society, what can be the social context where we can say that this is culture and this is not culture. So what are the cultural practices, like marriage? Okay. In society, when we see that somebody has invested a lot much money in marriage, then we say that they are very cultured people. And suppose somebody has simply registered themselves or their marriage in a registrar's office, then we say that they are less cultured people. So I think, though to some of you this example will not sound very good, but yes, it happens. When somebody follows all the rituals, then we say that yeah, they are very cultured people, that they value culture. And suppose somebody has just married and exchanged vows, we will simply say that they are less cultured people. Somebody learns Bharatnatyam, then we say that they belong to a very cultured class. And suppose somebody is simply doing unsynchronized steps on a bhangra tune, then we say that they are less cultured, because they, or somebody eating food, suppose fast food, somebody eats fast food, or suppose in a marriage party somebody has served ready-made food, then we will say that they are less cultured. And suppose somebody has given an asan, and the whole family is greeting them, and everybody is doing the insisting, like you should eat this, no, aapko meri kasam hai, ek gulab jamun aur khana padega. So we see that we feel that they are more cultured people. So what are these practices mean, and from where these things, these powers are coming from? And what are their political contexts in which, because in one of my other videos I said that personal is political. So power is something which is always related to benefit, and benefit, wherever benefit is hidden, we say that it is a political move. So what are the context in which political and social things are manifesting themselves? Third point is, cultural studies is a site of both study and analysis and political criticism or action. It means cultural study is a site, means when somebody is doing the cultural studies, that cultural study becomes a place. Site means place of both studying and analyze. We study when we suppose for example, I would like to give you one example, that in Punjab a group has become very famous, Noor group. These are boys, and then they perform gidda in the very traditional colorful attire. They perform gidda in different marriages. Then gidda has been a traditional folk dance of Punjab. When we analyze, we enjoy gidda, then it is okay. But when we start analyzing, we start studying the political and we say political motives behind that. Then we will come across during our studies that what are making them dance like that, because they are boys. It means cultural practices, when they are put to study from every angle. Okay, so that is the major place, and when we start analyzing all these things, all these analysis happens in cultural studies. This is third point. Fourth point is, cultural studies attempts to expose and reconcile constructed divisions of knowledge. This point is the most important one. Cultural studies attempts to expose and reconcile constructed divisions of knowledge. Now, knowledge is power, as Francis Bacon has said, and power is always associated with politics. So, what are the divisions of knowledge? Suppose a woman who's quite qualified, but has chosen to remain in house and to become a homemaker. But her neighbor, both husband and wife, they go, and then they consider that that woman who goes to work, she is more powerful than, she will look down upon that you are a homemaker or a kind of housewife, and you don't have power and I have power. Or people will consider that I have one more example ready to make you understand that this division of knowledge, like we we start thinking in terms of something, but from where that thought process is coming, and what are the things which are making us to look at someone in the high esteem and look at someone in the low esteem. So cultural studies, it attempts actually to deconstruct or analyze or to expose, there are certain things which are inherent in that, and what are those things which are distributing this knowledge. And even knowledge, they study knowledge, what is the exact form of knowledge and what are its sources. The fifth point is cultural studies has a commitment to an ethical evaluation of modern society and to a radical line of political action. So far, almost all the 4 points are almost similar, but somewhere it is not only the task of analyzing, but cultural studies has also given itself a task of ethical evaluation of modern society. It means once we have known, suppose the example I have given, suppose you are coming to a university and your professor has given you this knowledge that a woman who has chosen, educated woman, qualified woman, has chosen to remain at home and take care of her husband and take care of her children in a better manner. If someone, for example, in my close relations, there are 2-3 families where husbands don't earn but wives earn, but all the educated people or the members of the family, they don't look down upon those husbands. They have understood, instead of wife, if husband remains at home and he takes care of children and suppose he cooks food, then what is wrong? Because we have so gendered the things through patriarchy or patriarchal knowledge that I have tried to explain that this knowledge is coming from our society. And once suppose somebody has informed you in the university that feminism is something and they have equal rights and man and woman have equal place in society, then don't you think people will become more ethical in society and they will start valuing the kind of roles people are playing in society. I will also try to explain, or I would like to give you one more example of eunuchs. Eunuchs means those transgendered people or who are naturally born sometimes, or say in queer theory we try to understand, suppose I'm a student in my college, there is a boy who is of some homo inclinations towards same sex. Then for me it is not going to be a very disturbing thing, because being an educated person of society, I understand that it can be there is no harm in that. This shows me that the practices of cultural studies, they try to make a human being a more ethical human being in the modern society. And the last point of this line was, and to a radical line of political action. Political action means to say, if suppose somebody is not behaving properly, then we can take political action. Political action does not mean that we will incarcerate that person or put him behind the bars. It means politically things will be given to him so that he can mold himself. And now I would like to read a particular statement or a kind of quote which appeared in 2019 June exam. That cultural studies started as a dissenting intellectual tradition outside academia, dedicated to exposing power in all its cultural forms. But it has now become a discipline and a part of the academic establishment and its power structure. So then they asked, what is the meaning of Ziauddin Sardar's this statement? And then they gave you 4 options, is it devolution, displacement, institutionalization, or dissension? So the statement says that earlier the cultural studies, they started as an intellectual movement, but later on they became a part of the discipline. Means in universities it was started as a subject. So it means the answer is the C, that is institutionalization. Institutionalization means in universities and institution, and you put that subject in the canon, and then students start studying in, you appoint professor of a cultural studies background. Then so what is the purpose of reading this statement here at the end of the video, so that you people can understand that reading almost technically everything is very important in cultural studies. And this particular writer, Ziauddin Sardar, requires a lot much understanding. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.